Manx Radio's Update with Beth Espy.
Fastamai, good evening. It's just gone 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 31st of July. Time to find out what's been happening on the Isle of Man news-wise today. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll hear from some Derby residents responding to the idea of a new national airport in their village. There were more than 500 responses to an island education consultation. We're going to bring you some of the main findings, and we'll find out how the RNLI's 200th anniversary is being celebrated in Peel. All that plus business and sport as well, and we'll keep an eye on what's happening on the roads as you head home this evening. As ever, if you spot anything we should know about, 166 177, or you can email studio@manxradio.com. First, let's join Christian for the Manbenham news headlines.
Derby residents whose homes fall within the boundaries of a potential new airport say they're ready to fight back. The proposals were discovered as part of the public inquiry into the draft area plan for the North and West, which would see a site the size of Liverpool John Lennon created. Major health policies could be overhauled as 4 key areas within a new health and care services bill are put to public consultation. It's looking to streamline existing healthcare legislation into a single piece. And FC Isle of Man secured their first win of the new NWCFL Premier Division season, defeating Earlham 3-1. Jack McVeigh, Sam Baines and Sean Doyle were all on the score sheet for the Ravens. In international news now, and 4 men have been arrested following disorder outside a mosque in Southport yesterday, as police warned there could be more rioting later. Crowds threw missiles at officers after a vigil to remember the 3 girls who died in a stabbing at a dance school on Monday. The UK Foreign and Defence Secretaries have travelled to the Middle East, calling for calm as tensions escalate in the region. Iran has vowed to avenge the assassination of a senior Hamas leader in Tehran, blaming Israel for the airstrike, which it denies. And Google has announced measures to crack down on deep-fake pornography. It's making changes to its search engine to make it easier for people who have AI-generated videos and photos taken down. Those are the Update News headlines, next at 6.
Thanks very much, Christian. Now the weather brought to you by Manx Glass and Glazing. Dry and sunny this evening. There'll be a moderate northeast breeze. That'll gradually back northwest and ease, and temperatures will be 21 degrees at first. It will be a little bit cloudy overnight and a small risk of the odd shower, as I say. That's good news for the garden. Minimum overnight temperatures will be around 13. And again, cloudy to start tomorrow, but dry with sunny spells developing in the afternoon. Light winds and top temperatures tomorrow of 22. I don't want to tell you about Friday. There'll be a bit of rain and wind. Sunset this evening, 18 minutes past 9. Sunrise tomorrow morning, 5:32.
Manx Glass and Glazing don't just do the big jobs. It's easy to repair broken greenhouse glass at Manx Glass and Glazing. For greenhouse glass cut to size, call 674 573.
TE Carbon provide new memorial stones, grave renovations, new inscriptions and fire hearths. Visit us at Hope Street, Castletown, or at Broadway, Douglas, or call 844 440. TE Carbon, here when you need us.
Ambitions Recruitment Consultants, covering all business sectors in the Isle of Man. Register online or email your CV to info@ambitions.co.im or ring 614 841. Ambitions, for all your recruitment needs, however big or small.
We all need peace of mind. That's where Peace of Mind Manx Will Writing Services can help you. From just £149 plus VAT. Call 671 001 or go to peaceofmind.co.im.
Most builders start with a hammer and saw. Manx Construction start with ideas and imagination. For new build, extension or home office, Manx Construction offer full service from planning to completion. Call Tony on 452 688.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
Now, we've been hearing on Manx Radio today from residents in Derby who fear a new national airport could be built right on top of their homes and livelihoods. You might have heard about this. It all started when a map was included in the public inquiry into the draft North and West Area Plan. You can find more information about that at manxradio.com. Lewis Foster joins me now. Lewis has been following this story. And Lewis, you've actually been up to Derby, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. And first and foremost, of course, it's only right to clarify that this map map represents a hypothetical proposal, but regardless of whether or not these plans do go ahead in 20, 30 or 50 years' time, its very existence has caused a great amount of concern in the community who live directly under where such a runway could be placed.
And the perimeter as well. So we're talking about a site that would be roughly the size of Liverpool John Lennon Airport, aren't we?
That's certainly what it's being compared to. And again, what's really caused anger in this community is that this map apparently appeared out of the blue. Idea, proposal, whatever you call it, those in the area perhaps quite understandably don't appreciate their futures being used as the collateral damage for what-if questions such as this. And it comes as the Airports Division apparently says development at Ronaldsway currently is constrained by the size of the site, and it's reportedly at risk from rising sea levels. And many people listening may know the North has been looked at as a potential airport site historically, and the location of Ronaldsway hasn't escaped question either. But let's hear from Fern Callister and Vicky Wade, residents in the area. They live where a runway extension in Derby would be built.
Who wakes up to know that your house is potentially going to be flawed, a home that you've invested every single part of your life, your livelihood, your passion?
They've just dropped this as a bit of an idea without any feasibility studies, without any scoping out. I really think this has been very badly thought through, well, not thought through and very badly handled.
To paint a picture, if you haven't been in this area before, it's quiet, secluded countryside. So as you can hear, the thought even of that slice of so-called paradise, as they put it, being bulldozed and replaced with tarmac and hardcore is a bitter one, to say the least.
And there's also a financial concern, I believe.
Yeah, so as anyone does, the residents in the area have invested a lot in their properties, and there are fears that if this is green-lighted and the land zoned for use as a future national airport, that their property values will plummet. Vicky Wade said one question she wants answering is when will their properties be valued? Feeling if they're priced up after planning restrictions are brought in, the amount of compensation they would get for a compulsory purchase order will greatly diminish. But an important point the residents I spoke to want to get across is that it's about more than just finances. Fern, for example, saved up and moved in 2 years ago and sees her cottage as her forever home. And this from Tamsin Cormode, who owns a farm in the area.
So we've been doing the pig farming for 3 years now, and we're just getting established with that. And we're getting to the state, we're looking to get in more hens. And now we're just like, why? I don't know if this is going to be a car park in 50 years' time. And we bought that thinking it's something for our children to do something with the land as they get older, and our grandchildren can have this little haven out of here to do something with it.
An investment.
Yeah, but not just like money-wise. It's a family investment and an emotional investment. And, you've spoken to the other people, the tears and that lot we've had over the last few days, knowing that everything we love could be gone because some government department decided this without telling anyone.
Tamsin Cormode there. Well, clearly, Lewis, there's a feeling there's been no communication here. What have we heard from government so far on this?
Well, myself and I imagine a number of other journalists have been in touch with various departments for comment. The main targets for questions are the Cabinet Office and the Department of Infrastructure, but so far we've heard nothing. It's understood the area's MHKs, Tim Johnston and Alfred Cannon, both on the Council of Ministers, of course, have been communicating with residents in recent days, but so far nothing appears to have been said to calm any of the nerves in the area.
Lewis, thank you very much. Now, there is a meeting coming up on the 12th of August. It's being hosted by Derby commissioners at the Parish Hall, and it's hoped there will be representation from those departments, and the airport director, Gary Cobb, and Manx Radio will also be there. 9 minutes past 5. Now, hundreds of people have given their thoughts on the proposed new Education Amendment Bill for the Isle of Man. A report and a public consultation on the bill has been published after there were more than 500 responses to multiple areas around local education. And I'm joined now by editor Rob Pritchard, who's been looking at the findings. First of all, Rob, what was this consultation about for those who might not know?
So the consultation that took place from the 27th of March to the 10th of May this year concerns, as you've just pointed out, the Education Amendment Bill, and it has been asking for people's feedback on a number of proposed law changes around the Manx education system. There were 8 areas in particular that they were looking at, and these were additional educational needs, education tribunals, emergency closure of schools, religious education, governing bodies, home education, admissions and catchment areas, and children who are looked after, and that garnered 509 responses in total.
And you mentioned there the additional educational needs. What was specific about that?
So among the findings there, of 499 responses, 92% said alternative methods of education should be made available where a child or young person has difficulty accessing education in a school environment. Furthermore, of 491 responses, because the number of responses differ depending on whether someone answered the question or not, 73% said Department of Education, School, Sport and Culture should broaden the concept of greater difficulty in learning, where schools must support children's additional educational needs regardless of what that need is.
And the role of religious education was also something that people asked for their feedback on.
Yes, it was. So of 486 responses, 40% strongly disagree that the requirement to be wholly of a broadly Christian character is still suitable. And furthermore, 35% strongly disagree it should be mainly of a broader Christian character overall. And 47% strongly agree that religious education should be required by law to cover other religions and beliefs.
So hundreds of responses across those categories, and another one of them was on mobile phone use in schools.
Yes, indeed. This also invoked quite a large response. So of 499 responses, 55% believe phone use should be banned through an entire school day. 26% think education should include appropriate use of mobiles and should be supported where it might benefit. Of 487 responses, 60% believe that there should be broader powers to seize phones by extending certain articles to include mobiles. That's with regards to management of mobile phone use in schools. And 36% say on the same subject that schools should continue to set their own policies on the matter.
And it wasn't just topics around the traditional classroom. It also looked at homeschooling as well, I understand.
Indeed, there were a number of areas, and one of those with regards, it had 501 responses. 59% think that home education children pulled out of registering with a department school should not amount to opting out of DESC facilities and resources, and that includes funding and provision for exams that they may choose to sit.
Rob, thank you very much indeed. You can view the consultation report on the online government consultation hub. There will also be a link very shortly at manxradio.com. 12 minutes past 5. Let's turn our attention to business now, and an initiative to develop a sustainable finance proposition for the Isle of Man has been launched. Finance Isle of Man, which is an agency within the Department for Enterprise, wants to enhance the island's reputation as a leading international finance centre by facilitating capital flows for sustainability-based products. Now, a steering group made up from industry and public sector representatives has been formed to provide strategic direction, project management and governance. And this initiative will be formally launched at a Financial Services Industry Engagement Day, and that's going to take place on the 8th of August at the Manx Museum. Now, the stock market report, which is brought to us by Ramsey Crookall, our thanks to them. They tell us that US stocks moved sharply higher. Stocks have shown a strong move to the upside during trading today, with the major US stock indexes all moving higher following the mixed performance seen in the previous session. The Nasdaq has shown a particularly strong upward move following the steep drop seen on Tuesday. A report released by the Energy Information Administration on Wednesday showed crude oil inventories in the US fell by more than expected in the week ending July the 26th. The EIA said crude oil inventories slumped by 3.4 million barrels last week after tumbling by 3.7 million barrels in the previous week. Economists had expected crude oil inventories to dip by 1.6 million barrels. And gold ticked higher today, while the dollar slipped ahead of the Federal Reserve's monetary policy decision later and the Bank of England's rate decision, which is due tomorrow. Let me tell you that gold currently stands up 0.59% at $2,422. Brent oil is up 2.25% at $80.28. And the markets at the close, the FTSE 100 was up 0.95% at 8,352. The latest from the Dow Jones up 0.48% at 40,938. And the Nasdaq up 2.53% at 17,584.
I'm running late again. Do you know where I put my car keys?
In the fridge.
Where's my phone?
Under the dog basket.
Bye.
You haven't forgotten that we're seeing Ramsey Crookall later?
Oh, no, of course not. 5 p.m, is it?
3:15.
I'll be there.
Life is busy. That's why Ramsey Crookall's team takes time to help you make a mindful investment decision, considering all the options, giving you full control of your financial future. Less stress, more assurance.
Forgot to put my shoes on.
See how we can make your money work for you. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
So the main thing to look out for if you are on your way home is that police are dealing with a road traffic collision at the Braddon Church roundabout. So traffic is being diverted at Union Mills onto Strang Road and also at Braddon Bridge as well. Motorists are being asked to avoid that area. So that is a road traffic collision at the Braddon Church roundabout. If you are heading in that way, it would be well advised to take an alternative route. Traffic is being diverted at Union Mills onto Strang Road and also at Braddon Bridge. Steam Packet and Airport though, all looking fine there.
Ask how you can spread the cost interest-free at
Quayside.
You're listening to Update on Manx Radio. It's 5:15. Now, the major themes that will form the basis of a new health and care services bill are now open to public consultation. I'm joined in the studio by Simon Richardson to talk about the process. What's happening here, Simon?
Thanks, Beth. Well, views are sought on the 4 key policy principles, which are service planning, record sharing, service improvement and empowering patients. Now, currently it seems the delivery of health services is governed by 3 separate pieces of legislation.
I suppose it could be argued that that doesn't really seem a very efficient model given the complexities of running such a huge and varied service, though.
Yeah, I think that's the crux of the matter, really. The new bill aims to consolidate everything into a comprehensive single piece of legislation known as the Health and Care Services Bill. It's being developed in response to a recommendation which was set out in the Sir Jonathan Michael report into health and care services in the Isle of Man. Now, the consultation seeks opinions on what should be prioritised when making decisions about health care, whether it be location, accessibility or value for money. It also requests views on the sharing of patient records between different services and providers, addressing patient frustrations when receiving treatment from multiple clinics or off-island providers.
So then, Simon, how do people take part in this consultation?
Well, you can have your say via the online consultation hub. Alternatively, paper copies can be obtained at the Welcome Centre, or indeed email copies and responses can be requested via grace.phillips2@gov.im. That's the number 2. So it's grace.phillips2@gov.im. Now, the window of opportunity for this consultation is quite generous. Submissions need to be received by midnight on the 7th of October.
Thank you very much, Simon. And as ever, you can find more details on that at manxradio.com. Just a reminder that police are currently dealing with a traffic collision at the Braddon Church roundabout. Traffic is being diverted at Union Mills onto Strang Road and also at Braddon Bridge. That's the oak tree there. It's being diverted up Braddon Road. So if you can avoid that area at the moment, you'd be well advised to do so. 18 minutes past 5 and a campaigner says residents must not forget what happened as a memorial service is scheduled to remember the victims of the Summerland fire. This year sees the 51st anniversary of the tragedy which claimed the lives of 50 people. Tina Brennan is from the Justice for Summerland group and she's been talking to local democracy reporter Emma Draper.
It's important because, not just because I watched that fire when I was 19 from the cliffs above it, but having realised that at the time of the 40th commemoration there was going to be a memorial put into the Kay Gardens, which have absolutely nothing to do with the Summerland site, and realising at the time that that site was for sale, I thought that memorial really, it should be on the site and not down the road. And the reasons that it was put there, I believe, in my opinion, it was simply to detract attention away from the site so that it could be sold unimpacted by any tragedy. Obviously, if you're going to put a multi-purpose use facility on that site or anything like that, you don't want to have any connotation of tragedy where 50 people were killed on the site that you're about to buy and live on. So that's why I believe it was put down the road, and it should be on the site. So many of the survivors and their families who lost loved ones say over all these years we didn't know. We didn't know the people of the Isle of Man still remembered. I get that every year. They didn't know that we still have regrets about it and that we're sorry that everything that happened. We didn't know that you'd still thought about us in this way, and I want them to know that we do. And I want to show them that we haven't on this island. We have not forgotten this huge tragedy.
That is Tina Brennan from the Justice for Summerland Group. You're listening to Update on Manx Radio. It's 5:20. Just a reminder, if you're just heading home, avoid the Braddon Church roundabout if you can. Traffic is being diverted at Union Mills onto Strang Road, and also at Braddon Bridge by the oak tree there. It's being diverted up Braddon Road. There has been an RTC. We'll keep you up to date with what's happening there. Let's join Darren Timpson now for today's sports news. Good afternoon, Darren.
Good afternoon. Starting with FC Isle of Man, manager Paul Jones has said his side showed mental resilience as they held off a late onslaught from Earlham to come home with a win last night. The Island side claimed their first victory of the new season on Tuesday evening as goals from Jack McVeigh, Sam Baines and Sean Doyle saw them overcome the Manchester-based side 3-1 at the RG3 Digital Stadium. The Ravens were put under pressure in the second half as the Salford team pulled the goal back in the final 15 minutes. However, it was not enough to deny the Manx outfit victory. Jones was full of praise for his side, especially for Alex Maitland, who the manager said had one of the best displays in our shirt.
You know, once you kind of 2-0 up, and after what happened on Saturday, you know, the lads took a lot of kind of mental resilience just to dig in and make sure they saw it through. Callum got booked quite early on in the first half, and the tricky winger that he was against, he did so well to stand him up and not get sent off in the end and make a silly challenge. As you say, the defence were brilliant. Al Maitland was just incredible tonight. I thought it was one of his best displays in our shirt tonight in terms of his kind of defending and the dominance he had in those areas. But yeah, every single man, Jamie didn't get on, but all 16 of them can be proud of what they've done this evening, and especially after, you know, being in a similar position at half time to Saturday and going in 2-0 and getting that third goal really did help. And yeah, we withstood a fair amount of pressure at times, but you know, it didn't really matter about the performance. You know, you just had to see the game out, and I thought we did that ever so well. We were even kind of running the time down and managing the game, weren't we, in the last 10 minutes, which was great to see. We changed the shape a little bit. I don't really want to change our shape very often, but we did. You know, once you had that kind of buffer of 2 goals, we wanted to make sure we were a little bit more solid, and you know, didn't have to cover quite so much ground, but that then meant that we retreated off down the pitch a little bit more, which I don't like. But you know, we needed to win tonight, and we wanted to give the players the best opportunity possible to do that on a pitch that probably wasn't going to suit how we really want to try and play. So yeah, it was, you know, dealing with lots of long balls, making sure we won first and seconds, and when we could get up the pitch, keep it up there and be clinical.
Ravens manager Paul Jones. In cycling, Matthew Bostock and Ribble Rebellion have taken one of the top prizes of this year's British Cycling National Circuit Series. The Manx rider and the squad claimed first place in a team classification for the series following the 7th and final round, the Beverley Grand Prix Open, last Friday. Ribble Rebellion completed the campaign on 713 points, with wheelbase Cabtech Castelli in second on 625. Bostock would go on to finish second in the Open individual rankings on 314 points, only 8 points behind eventual Surly Series winner Robert Scott. It was a positive campaign for Bostock as he won 4 of the 7 stages, including a further 2 top 5 finishes. On to swimming, Andy Alleman had 2 competitors in the English Summer Championships, with Joel Watterson and Lauren Dennett taking part. Joel was involved in the 100-metre butterfly heats today and will compete in the final this evening. Meanwhile, Lauren completed in the 50-metre freestyle, finishing 27th overall and 0.2 seconds from her lifetime best. And finally, the Isle of Man's governor has been confirmed to take part in the MFX end-to-end walk in September. Sir John Lorrimore flagged away the race at the Point of Ayre last year and has made its decision to be involved as a competitor this time out. The event is set to take place at 8 a.m. 15th of September, where the participants will then have 10 hours and 30 minutes to cross the finish line at the Sound.
Thank you very much, Darren. Have you ever done the end-to-end?
No.
No? Parish walk?
No, but I've got a friend who's taking part in both this year.
Oh, really? Gosh, well, maybe next year, eh? Thank you very much
Maybe.
indeed, Darren, and best of luck to the Lieutenant Governor. He's brilliant to get involved in things that are happening around the Isle of Man. Just a quick reminder again that if you are heading home, there's been an RTC at the Braddon Church roundabout. Traffic is being diverted, but if you can avoid that area, you'd be well advised to do so. 24 minutes past 5. Have you had the chance to check out the All at Sea exhibition at the House of Manannan in Peel yet? Well, the event is highlighting the Isle of of Man's role in forming the RNLI and tells the story of some of the ships wrecked off the island's coast. Manx Radio's Howard Kane has been along there and spoken to the Manx National Heritage Curator of Archaeology, Alison Fox.
There's a couple of factors really that came together for this exhibition. The first is the 200th anniversary of the RNLI. It was formed in 1824 and it very much had its roots on the Isle of Man, and we know that there's always been a close association with the island and the RNLI, but we didn't really know how much that people knew that Sir William Hillary got his idea for the RNLI actually from the shores and what was happening around the coast of the Isle of Man. So we wanted to really spell that out, what an important part the island played in the history. So we thought this would be the perfect time to talk about some of the stories from the thousands of shipwrecks around the Isle of Man and how those affected what was happening, and certainly Sir William Hillary's thoughts on this institution that was needed.
So how difficult is it to actually curate an exhibition like this?
It's been quite an unusual exhibition for me, really. I usually do exhibitions on much older stuff, on the archaeological collections, but this one, it was really difficult to narrow down which stories we were going to present to people. As far as the actual artefacts go, we don't have a huge number because the ships that were sunk, very few things have been brought up from those shipwrecks. So we had a look at the different stories, how they fitted into the story of the RNLI, and we also went out to some people that we knew had some really nice artefacts as well. So we're really lucky in that the RNLI themselves, their heritage collections, have loaned us the actual gold medal that Sir William Hillary was awarded for starting the RNLI, and it's not a massive medal, but it's one of these things that just gives me the shivers, really, just to think that he held that, he was awarded that by the institution that he founded. Just him thinking, I did it, we actually did it.
That is Manx National Heritage's Curator of Archaeology, Alison Fox, talking about the All at Sea exhibition that's on at the House of Manannan and really commemorating the RNLI and Sir William Hillary. It's open daily between 9:30am and 4:30pm and runs until January next year, so plenty of time to see it. It's a great space in the House of Manannan where they have their exhibitions, a lovely thing to go along and see. And if you have any memories to share of anything that you've been involved with, I'm sure they'd love to hear from you as well. Interestingly, Sir William Hillary is buried in St George's Churchyard, and I don't know if you've ever been along in there, but they've done amazing things in there. They've got a real history trail. There are some fantastic names in there from the Isle of Man over the ages, so well worth going to see. That is all from Update this evening. Just a reminder, there is that RTC at the Braddon Church roundabout, so if you can avoid that area on your way home, that would be a very good idea. Coming up next, you can hear more about that exhibition actually in Spotlight with Howard Kane, followed by Greatest Hits with Dave Moore from 6pm, and then it's Country Roads with Andy Wint, and Rianne will be rounding off your day with After Hours from 10pm. As ever, if you've got a story, anything happening in your community that you'd like to share with us, we'd love to hear from you. newsroom@manxradio.com is the best email address. Ben will be with you from 6am tomorrow morning with breakfast. I'll be back at 5 tomorrow. Whatever you're doing for the rest of your sunny evening, I hope you have a good one. Take care and we'll speak to you soon.